Welcome to episode 26 of Popping Culture. I'm Jay.
I'm Adrian.
We're back with you again for another week.
We are with goodies.
We have more things on the table than usual. You had to go fill up your jar at Lolly and Pop.
I had to get more candy. You knew what the candy was for? Candy was for you, CPA, because this Saturday, Jay and I will be watching all 3 Star Wars movies to finally give a rebuttal to your Gungans vs. Ewoks.
Which most people we've talked to have been on our side about that.
Vehemently on our side. A friend of mine, I mentioned this on our way back from the airport, he got really adamant with you, man. Like, he was justifiably angry. I say justifiably angry. But his response was, the Ewoks are fucking killer teddy bears. What's better than a killer teddy bear? And then I brought up your point. How did you get the logs up there? How did they do that? His response, pulleys. They're fucking pulleys. They're not dumb. This is a common sense answer. Pulleys.
So yes, we will be watching the original Star Wars trilogy on Saturday.
Sure will.
As I mentioned last week, we will be live tweeting also from the Popping Culture Twitter account.
We sure will.
So look for our insightful commentary there.
And to be fair, they will probably start off pretty understandable, coherent. How far into, I would say probably Empire Strikes Back until we're drunk?
Oh, you want to pace it out a bit?
Oh, you want to just get right to it in A New Hope and just run it out?
I figured we would start out with like fucking jugs of mimosa or something.
We should.
Right?
Yeah.
I almost said I'll just bring some Sunny D, but then I realized, no, we actually need orange juice.
You need orange juice.
Yeah. Okay. I'll bring some orange juice.
Let's do this.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah. Whew. This is going to be bad. This is going to be like Hurricane San Francisco bad.
Should we make hurricanes?
Oh! As I said it, I'm like, why don't we make a hurricane?
We should make hurricanes.
This is going to get real belligerent real fast, guys.
Oh.
All right. Well, let's start with the alcohol we have here.
Okay.
First,
what do we go with tonight?
Iron Horse Brewery's Irish Death. It's a dark, smooth ale, as it's described. Bottled and brewed by Iron Horse Brewery, Ellensburg, Washington. 7.8% by volume.
How many IBUs? I'm just kidding. I don't know if it even says that.
Nobody cares.
At some point, I got to figure out what that number means.
What I like about this bottle is it doesn't have the frills. It's not like a little fancy label that talks more about what they're made. It's like, no, this is what it is. Fucking drink it.
Yeah. And while you pour that, I want to say hey to we got some new listeners over the last week. I saw a bunch of you popping up on the Facebook page. So if this is your first new episode, welcome. Thanks for following us. If you're not familiar with the show, every week we talk about TV, movies, comics, and we have a different beer or liquor every week. So this is our beer for this week. It looks like a very nice color. For those of you that have watched and listened, you know that I like the darker beers, and this, I cannot see through this glass at all. So that's a good sign to me.
Shall we?
Let's do it.
Cheers. Oh, that's good. I really like that.
Yeah. So I've had this before.
Yeah, I had
when
not.
we were at the shop picking up the beer for this week. He was like, Adrian was like, "What is it? I haven't had this before." I'm like, "I've had it. It's delicious. I would drink it again." It's a very sweet stout. I don't remember. It's probably vanilla or something. Yeah, you're right. This is very basic.
There is nothing else.
This says where it was brewed and don't drink and drive and don't drink if you're pregnant. And that's all that's on this bottle.
Luckily, I'm not pregnant.
Yeah, no, me either.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Just figured we should check in.
Yep. So if you like stout, this has definitely got your stout body to it. Very, very dark, very thick, creamy foam on top. But it, like I said, it's got that sweetness to it, but not so sweet.
Nope, I agree. I really like it. It's dangerous because it looks dark, but it's slightly light, slightly sweet. I can go through one of these pints real fast.
Which is why they call it Irish Death.
Right.
So I see this all over in the stores, even in the grocery store. So if you're interested, pick it up. Maybe 2, 3, depending on how much time you got on your hands.
No, it's delicious. Definitely recommend it. The other beer I want to talk about really fast, I was in Chicago Walker Stalker over the weekend. Please, you're familiar with the Walker Stalker. It's essentially a horror convention. They're like Barnum and Bailey Road. You know, they just travel from town to town doing these little horror conventions. And it was Chicago, so it was home to the Goose Island Brewery. And I look at him for confirmation because he was there.
Yeah, right. not there.
I had a few of their beers while I was there. I tried one other craft beer. I don't even want to bring up the name. It was real bad. And I tried Goose Island immediately after and was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
So I tried their seasonal IPA, I tried their wit, and I tried their amber. All were phenomenal. And I think that's our version of Red Hook.
Okay.
So for those of you who are familiar with Red Hook, started as a small craft brewery and is now huge. It is now nationwide. Goose Island, I believe, is the exact same way. So
Okay.
It was really good. So if you live in the Midwest, also try Goose Island if you haven't. And if you live in the Midwest and you haven't, what rock should I send your mail to that you've been living under? Because
we will mail you a bottle of Goose Island.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay, so that's the beer. What else do we have in front of us this week?
Well, while we were at Lolly and Pop filling up with chocolates for this Saturday, we saw these Guinness potato chips. So they're produced by Bert's Potato Chips in the UK along with Guinness. So we have classic and rich chili.
Okay. So we're going to open these up. We're going to be those really annoying people that open loud things on a podcast.
Yeah.
And then eat.
Go eat loud things on a podcast. Because we tried the Guinness Blonde. That was real bad. So we are now high on regular Guinness. You have the original?
I've got the original. You've got the chili. So the original is really good. It's a crisp. It says a hand cooked potato chip. I'm assuming it's like a kettle chip. So it's a real thick cut, very crispy, very subtle hint of the Guinness flavor in there. For those of you that have made things like beer bread, you just get that taste of the beer, not overpowering, but very slight. Very good. I could sit here and eat a full size bag of these, no problem. How's the chili?
I don't want to give them up.
I just need one.
No. They're really good.
Okay.
It tastes like a really good chili with a hint of Guinness on the backside. Like they perfected that flavor.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Some of the best chilies that I've had have been homemade chilies where you use a can and a half, 2 cans of beer in there as part of your sauce. That's delicious. That makes me just want to go home and drink Guinness and eat chili.
Right?
So yeah, we found these, like we said, at Lolly and Pop, the candy store in the local mall. I'm sure you could probably find these other places. I don't know where. I would encourage you to seek them out if you like good chips and or Guinness. Very delicious.
I'm going to give these to you. As you know, I make loud noises on the podcast, and I have no self-control.
Right.
So I'll be eating those the whole time.
Those will sit over there.
Have them live
after
there.
The show.
Oh, yeah. Delicious.
Okay, so let's move into the next thing.
TV or movies, buddy? Where do you want to go first?
Let's do TV. Let's start at TV. What have you been watching?
Not a lot. Not going to lie to you. Since I was traveling so much and work has been so busy, I have not been watching a lot of TV. Watched a couple more episodes of The Americans.
Are you still kind of meh?
Still very meh on it. It's a show I'm watching because it's on my tablet while I'm traveling.
Right.
Don't really care for it. I watched the newest episode of Modern Family last night. That show is in the season 6, episode 15, and still delivering comedy gold.
It's always good.
Every time.
Good.
So for TV, I don't have much to say aside from that.
Okay. I'm caught up on Walking Dead. Watched the most recent episode of that this Sunday. I did something weird. Before the episode, they were like, sign on to some website. I don't remember what it is.
AMC, probably.
Well, it's AMC, but it's a separate service they do. It's like episode by side or something like that. I don't remember what it's called. Side episode, maybe. But they call it the second screen experience. And I know a lot of shows have been kind of messing around with this sort of thing now, where you'll be watching the show on the TV and you'll have either your computer or tablet or phone with this second side up, and there's other things happening on this that interact with the show.
I don't like what you're saying right now.
Why is that?
Because I feel like it takes... Now, some of you will argue that it makes you more engaged. I say it'll take you away from the show and take you out of the element. The reason I love certain TV shows is I feel like I'm in that element. I'm not on my phone. I'm not looking at comics or reading. In The Walking Dead or in Sons of Anarchy, I'm living in that element in that moment.
Okay.
I feel like I have my phone. I'm half engaged. I'm still engaged on my phone. But I feel like I'm less out of the element.
So I don't know that I will use this experience in subsequent episodes of The Walking Dead. But one thing that I did appreciate about it is that you weren't paying attention to your tablet the whole time. So what would happen is something would happen on screen, and it would show like a screen capture of that. Or you were introduced to a character or situation, and it would bring up a poll, and it was like, how do you feel about this? And you would tally your vote, and then that would just stay on for like 2 minutes. So it wasn't constantly feeding things. So it wasn't much different than if I'm watching it, something happens, and the person next to me is like, oh my God, did you see that? I'm like, yeah. And then I keep watching. It was minimally evasive. That said, I still don't know if I will keep using it. It's an interesting idea. Most people these days do watch TV with a tablet or a phone or something in their hand anyways.
Yeah.
So it's their way of, engaging them and fully pulling them into that.
No, and I'll be honest, I know I'm the exception in this case. I don't have social media. I don't like it. I don't do a lot of... I am less removed in that kind of atmosphere than most other people, and probably like most of our listeners.
Right.
So for me, I think I'm the exception, because what you said makes a lot of sense. If you're sitting there on your tablet or on your phone anyways, this is another way to engage you. If that's how you watch TV, I get that.
Yeah.
It's just not me.
So, and typically, if I'm watching TV, I don't have anything else going. I'm like you. I will pay strict attention to that. Jess, she can sit there and she'll Pinterest, or she'll do whatever while the TV's on. She'll like half pay attention to both things. Me, if I'm watching something, especially something I really enjoy, all my focus is going onto that.
Nope.
And that's why I don't think I'll continue with this multi-screen experience. But so I caught up on Walking Dead. I am all caught up on Arrow except for last night's episode.
Okay.
Caught up on Big Bang Theory.
Oh, no.
No, I enjoy the show.
I know you
I
do.
know. I'm one of those sellout geeks, I guess. And then I've been watching Robin Hood on Netflix.
Yes,
that's
the BBC version.
That's my lunchtime show. I'm still going good with that. I'm like 4 episodes into season 2. The other thing that I started watching, or I had watched the first episode previously, but now I started watching it more, is The Tudors.
Yeah. Now, I've tried that show. The first couple episodes, they weren't bad. It didn't catch me.
Okay. Are you somebody who watches Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Okay. To me, there's a lot of similarities between Game of Thrones and The Tudors, except that Tudors is slightly more based in reality because it's based on King Henry VIII or legends of King Henry VIII. So it's interesting to me. It's got, I guess I must be kind of drawn to that sort of medieval whatever, because I've got Game of Thrones, I got The Tudors, I got Robin Hood, like all that kind of
Merlin,
stuff.
Merlin. I'm right there with you.
Loved Merlin.
Right there with you.
This one's interesting to me. It's also interesting that the actress that plays Anne Boleyn, which is King Henry VIII's second wife, is the same actress that played Joffrey's wife in Game of Thrones.
Weird.
Yeah. So like she just like has like her own closet full of queen type clothes. What's going on?
Look at you find a role that works for you, and you make your money where your money can be made.
Yeah. So I've been watching that. I did watch. I mentioned this to you before the show. The first episode of BoJack Horseman, recommended to me by listener CPA. I don't know how I feel about it yet. It's an animated show. It's put out by Netflix, so they dumped the first 12 episodes out all at once, and then and they did that in August. Then right around Christmas time, they threw another bonus episode up there that nobody was expecting because that's not what Netflix typically does. It's a little weird. I'm trying to figure out the humor of it. I'll probably watch 1 or 2 more episodes before I really make a decision on it. But other than that, that's pretty much what I've been watching on TV.
And really fast, not to give a spoiler, Tudors, Henry dies of syphilis, so you can stop watching now if you didn't know that.
Damn it.
We'll see how historically accurate they are.
Okay.
Does he get the syphilis and die?
It's going to be the sweating sickness.
All right. Okay. Movies.
What do you got for movies?
We have 2 movies to discuss. One we watched in common just shortly in my office. That counts as a movie, absolutely. My friend. Yeah. The other is Hot Tub Time Machine 2. Oh, yeah, I did it. I did it, folks.
And?
Okay. I'll first say I liked the first one.
I have not seen the first one, so I can't.
It is stupid, mindless humor that hit the spot exactly what I was looking for.
Okay.
Every now and then you want a movie where you don't have to think too much. You don't want the Grand Budapest humor. You just want stupid, mindless humor for an hour and a half where you get to go in, shut your brain off, have an hour and a half of stupid laughs, and leave and go, that's exactly what I needed. Hot Tub Time Machine 2 provided that, but it wasn't as funny.
Okay. I
feel like I'm going to give you this because I'm going to keep playing with that bottle lid.
We're just going to start a pile over there.
Start a pile of all the things that keep out of my reach over there. So it started off exact same premise. Obviously, the premise is there's a hot tub time machine.
Right.
Duh.
Got it.
It's in the name.
Is there 2 of them?
There's not 2 of them.
Oh.
I know you would think Hot Tub Time Machine 2. The nice thing is they did the same thing that 22 Jump Street did. In this show, they kind of broke the fourth wall, insinuating the fact that there was a sequel to that movie is fucking ridiculous.
Okay.
And they did that in this one too. So at least they're aware that it was fucking ridiculous. It was the bad type of humor that I wanted. It was a type where it was gratuitous and inappropriate just to be gratuitous and inappropriate. It didn't enhance the joke.
Yeah.
And in that, to me, drops the ball.
Yep.
So while there were some saving grace in some parts I really did laugh at, overall, disappointing. Because it was just the first one done kind of over again. It's the same concept. So,
okay.
All things said, not great.
Okay.
Better than Jupiter Ascending.
Well, I mean, that's not a hard bar to clear.
No, but that's currently my clearance bar.
Okay.
At least it wasn't Jupiter Ascending is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. And then
the fact that, okay, before I move on to the next one, that reminds me of something.
Okay.
The guy from Jupiter Ascending won a fucking Oscar for Best Actor.
Shit, are you kidding me?
Because he was the guy in Theory of Life, the Stephen Hawking's movie.
Oh.
The guy who spoke like this on Jupiter Ascending. Remember that guy?
Oh, that guy. I thought you meant Channing Tatum.
Oh, God, no.
No way did he win an Oscar for that.
No, the guy who speaks like
that. Yeah.
Oscar! And if it's not that guy and they just look really similar...
It was really Christoph Waltz.
Oh my God, if it was Christoph Waltz, he deserved that Oscar for being spot fucking on. So, I was told it was the same person. I'll be honest, I didn't pay enough to the theory of whatever the fuck it was called, to notice, but I was told it was the same person. Because we were walking in the show, they're like, isn't that the guy from Stephen Hawkins that went with Oscar? I'm like, oh my God, if it is, I will kill somebody. As you folks know, we fact check half the time. The other half the time, we leave it up to you. So this is going to be one of the leave up to you to double check that fact.
Wait, we're supposed to fact check?
I just tell them that we do.
Oh, yeah. No, okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere around 0 to 50% of the time.
Uh-huh.
So before I get into the thing that I watched, we'll talk about the thing that we watched.
Yes. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Fucking awesome.
Right? So... if you guys have social media, if you go to any websites, if you're in the know at all, probably if you're a monkey currently on Mars trying to learn how to cultivate
Potentially, even if you're Amish and you don't know how the internet works.
Mordecai, go to You know what? I'll send you a telegram. But you saw the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, at least heard about it. It's the James Vanderbeek co-wrote and starred in with Katie Sackhoff. It's a 14-minute movie.
It's a fan film. It's not licensed by anything.
But it's a James Vanderbeek fan film.
Right. Yeah. And it's the goddamn best thing I've seen in probably
so
2 years.
So the whole premise is he's the Red Ranger.
Is that who he was supposed to be? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yes, he's the Red Ranger.
So then who was the one that died in the truck? Wasn't that the Red Ranger?
I thought so. But at first, they called him Jason, which was the Red Ranger.
Yeah.
And as he's telling the story, he said, we were kids. And when he says how they gave up, it was the Red Ranger helmet on the ground. So the implication was that he was the Red Ranger.
Was he maybe the second Red Ranger? Rocky?
So here's what I'm saying. If you go back to the scenes where, spoiler alert, who the real killer was,
yeah,
she killed a lot more than just the original 5. So I think she killed a bunch of Rangers along the way.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Anyways, the point is the Red Ranger the war is over. He's kidnapped the Pink Ranger, trying to find Tommy Oliver, the Green Ranger. Shit is dark and awesome.
Yeah.
The effects were really well.
So, and that's everything that I saw about the videos, like gritty and gruesome and bloodthirsty, and this isn't the Power Rangers that you grew up with. And I'm like, oh, okay, so there's some extra vicious fight scenes. What? God, no. This was I might have nightmares about this tonight.
For everything they did was awesome. The one thing they didn't do well is audio. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it wasn't great, but the visuals were so good that I gave it a pass.
No, I agree. In that opening fight scene between not the Rangers,
the machines.
I forget what they're called, but that was awesome.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. I'm like, who funded this shit, and why can't we get them to fund better movies?
Here's the thing. I would watch that made into a whole.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man, I'd watch that.
I think Michael Bay needs to take a note or two from these guys.
Word. So it was awesome. If you haven't watched it, watch it.
It's 14 minutes. It's not going to take up that much of your time, and you're going to thank us and yourself that you watched it.
It's true. In fact, we don't get enough thanks from you guys.
No.
Like, I'm just saying, Jay and I both need new bikes. It would be a nice way to thank us.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Forward controls for me. I'm tall.
He's talking about motorbikes, by the way, not like a Huffy.
Wow.
Beggars
Beggars can't be choosers. Yes, that's what I was talking about, but take the Huffy and say thank you. Some manners to our listeners, please.
No, I'm good.
Guys, I apologize. Talk about your other movie and discuss.
Okay, so from Netflix this week, I received The Great Debaters. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
Okay. Are you familiar?
Not.
Okay, so this was
Wait,
a movie.
hold on. I'm going to say I'm not until you describe it, and then it's going to
And then
dawn
you're
on
like,
me.
oh no, I know what show.
Yeah.
So this was a movie, I want to say it was 2007, Denzel Washington.
Oh, that one. Carry on.
Yeah. Denzel Washington plays the coach of a all-black college debate team in 1935.
Yes, I do remember this now.
You do, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Based on a true story, this college, Wiley College, 1935, their debate team ends up being really good. They go undefeated in their season 5-0. Denzel Washington is sending letters around to all of the major debate colleges, the white colleges, saying, you should pay attention to us. We actually are able to debate and have an intelligent conversation. Some racist stuff happens in the middle of the movie, go figure. And then towards the end of the movie, they get invited to go debate against the Harvard debate team, who are the national champions. Obviously, at this time, Harvard all-white college. 1935, there's still the segregation, all the racism, all that happening. So it's a big, groundbreaking racial thing. Good movie.
And
Denzel
who
Washington plays
won?
the one character that he knows how to play, the angry black man.
Yeah, he only actually, I'm surprised that he pull out any gun at any point or hold somebody hostage. Because then I feel like it's not really Denzel. Then it's just
I think he had a big knife at some point.
There you go. That's good enough for
Could
me.
be wrong.
So, shockingly, I'm surprised they win against Harvard, I'm guessing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Wow.
Spoiler.
Shocking.
Yeah.
They made a college movie about adversity and triumph, and they win.
But it was a good movie because it was based on a true story.
Yeah. Sure. Always is.
And as a white person, I appreciate seeing the white people lose.
Also,
it had Journey Smollett from Friday Night Lights, which I enjoyed that. I enjoyed her as an actress, so
Okay.
it's good to see her in something else too.
look at dude, you white people, you have guilt and it motivates you. It's beautiful.
I'm not guilty about nothing.
Really?
What have I ever done? Moving on.
Look at we like to keep the show under 45 minutes. I ain't got the time to talk about that. And
True.
my comic books.
Yes. Before we get into comics,
What?
well, it's comic related.
I'm listening.
Okay, I'm gonna explain the question that I asked you earlier.
So,
I-
I'm still not sure on my
I know
answer.
you're not. I know you're not. That's
Still
why I'm going to
not sure
pose
on
it
my
again.
answer.
So I made what could potentially be the biggest mistake of my young life by getting on Reddit.
Don't do it.
Fucking the biggest rabbit hole in existence on the internet. Makes YouTube look easy. And there's a subreddit on there for comic books. And I found somebody's post that was, if you had to trim your monthly pull list down to 3 ongoing titles, single issue titles, what would it be?
I have a hard time just culling my list from
Right?
this week down
Yeah.
to 3.
Yeah. So I went through it. I came up with my 3. It took me a bit. My first 2 were pretty easy. For those of you that have been with us for a while, you know that I love the books Alex and Ada and Lazarus. My third one, it took a while. I actually went through all the books that I'm currently reading. And I decided that based on everything that I'm currently reading, the third book that I would like to see, or that I would choose to read, would be Invincible. Because it gives me the superhero book, which is kind of the typical thing for comic books. But over the last 10 years that I've been reading Invincible, it has been the most consistently enjoyable book that I have had A lot of the other superhero comics that I've read, including Green Lantern, have definitely had their ups and downs.
Sure.
Where I'm like, should I keep reading this? Should I not? I've never questioned reading Invincible. So those are my 3.
My first one was easy.
Your first one was easy.
Grayson. And Grayson is never the top of the quality of what I've read. It's never the bottom. The reason why Grayson is in the middle of the road is because it's fucking Dick Grayson. I love that character. Aside from Kyle Rayner, he was my first love. I know it sounds silly,
the high
but it's
collar
true.
and all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I've owned every issue of Nightwing ever published in all time in existence. And I love that character. Every iteration of him, Earth 2, Elseworlds, Thrill Killer. Like, I love Dick Grayson. And I can't picture my life without him.
Okay.
Yeah. I know I said it and it sounds weird, but I mean it.
I'm just really glad that you said his last name.
Right?
Yeah.
Richard Jonathan Grayson. Just for there's no
Is his middle name really Jonathan?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's named after his father.
Oh.
Yeah. Like I said, I love this character.
It was the first thing you ever stole.
No. Not it's the first comic I saw.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Albertsons. Again, I've apologized several times.
We were right by their headquarters.
You
didn't even go in there to make amends. So I don't know how sincere your apology is.
We joked about going in there to make amends.
Yeah, instead we drank shitty Idahoan beer.
God, your beer sucks, Boise. Yes. Second.
Albertsons, can you come up with like a house brand beer that's good?
Look if Safeway could have hit vodka as well as they did, Albertsons should be able to make a fucking beer.
Right?
We got a Volkswagen beer for $1.99 at Trader Joe's that wasn't horrible. I'll pay $3 at Albertsons to make something decent. Anyways, I'm getting off track. I keep looking at those chips. 2. Green Lantern.
See, and I thought about Green Lantern.
Right?
My favorite superhero.
Yeah.
But I just can't because I can't trust anybody to write it consistently. And that's the nice thing about Invincible is it's been Robert Kirkman for 119 issues.
Please refer to him by his full name.
Creator of Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Green Lantern. Because when you love something, Jay, when I mean you truly love something, you're with it in the good and the bad, the ups and the downs, for richer or poorer. Right now, Green Lantern is in the down. I'm not going to just leave it because it's down. It'll come back up and we'll have good times again. I understand right now we got to do a little counseling. We got to work through some problems. It's going to come back up again, though. And when it does, I'm going to be happy I stayed with it.
Okay. You can be saying the same speech to your wife in 5 years?
Yes, I'm going to explain to her why I stayed with Green Lantern.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, why I stayed with her? Oh, God, I don't know. Do I have to choose just 3 women for the rest of my life? Is that the question we're posing?
Okay, and your third book.
And that actually reminds me of a tangent. I'll tell you later.
I'm sure it does.
And my third book is Alex and Ada.
Okay.
Because as much as I love the comic book genre, as much as I love Iron Man and all these other characters, the story in Alex and Ada is so good. I just want to keep reading.
And that's the thing, like,
gotta keep reading.
I've said this before, like, the art in Alex Ada, it's decent. It does the job. It is definitely not what keeps me coming back to that book. It is the story, and it is the simplest story that you can imagine. It's a story that's been told thousands of times. Not necessarily man and robot, but it's that story of a boy meets girl,
Absolutely. And it's done so well. So what happened earlier? We were talking about how comic books shaped our lives as like growing up, and you don't realize it till now.
Right.
And my comment was like, "Oh my God, that explains why every time I see a wheelchair, I get aroused." Because Barbara Gordon.
I'm glad it's Barbara Gordon, not Professor Xavier.
Now you went back to bald for me, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our comic books.
So what do you got in your...
Oh, so much.
Jesus.
So much goodness. Futurama.
Okay.
Because it's so good. And the show's canceled, so I still get my fix this way. Rasputin. Snake Eyes, Agent of Cobra. Which the art on the cover is really choppy, but I still really dig it.
Okay. Who's the
interior art?
Is that Mike Costa writing that?
Yeah.
You remember the God is Dead book I used to?
Yeah.
Mike Costa.
Yeah, no, Mike Costa has been writing some iteration of G.I. Joe since IDW relaunched it. And he's been doing a phenomenal job, man. All of his Cobra stuff has been solid.
Maybe that's why God is Dead was terrible.
Yeah, because he's been focusing too much on Cobra. All right, Earth 2 World's End. Sinestro. The New 52 Future's End. Deathstroke. The Flash, variant cover I find really funny. All New X-Men Black Vortex Chapter 4. Spider-Man and the X-Men. It has one issue till it gets cut off, which is hard for me to say for a Spider-Man book and an X-Men book. Daredevil. The Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Verse Epilogue. Star Wars Darth Vader #2. Amazing X-Men. Inhuman. Superior Iron Man.
Is that a throwback cover?
Yeah, right?
That's kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
New Avengers, which most people don't realize. If I had list my top 5 superheroes of all time, Captain Britain makes that list.
Yeah, you had the Captain Britain and MI13 omnibus. I remember that.
Oh, and the original Captain Britain omnibus. I have European prints only of his titles and 3 busts.
Wow.
And the book I'll be reviewing today, Spider-Gwen #1. I know I promised I wasn't going to get it. You all should know by now I'm a fucking addict and I don't know how to quit it.
I'm pretty sure I even said you are going to review that book at some point.
My brother did too. He sent me a text message after he listened to that episode. He's like, "You're a fucking liar. You're going to get that book." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." We all know I have an addiction problem. Cocaine, beer, and comics. I was able to quit cocaine. Why don't we just leave it at that?
There we go. 2 out of 3. 1 out of 3. I don't know.
No.
So before I go into mine, I have a comment about your variant cover you mentioned.
My Flash variant cover.
So you have the Harley Quinn variant cover on that.
I do.
I didn't mention this last week when I was talking about the books I got, but for the last week and the week prior, all of my DC books have been the Harley Quinn variant cover.
Okay.
Not by request and not by preference. My shop decided to buy only the Harley Quinn variant covers.
So mine was not by request or preference either. It's what was in my box. And he's like, "Hey man, I thought you'd really find this funny." And so I threw it in there. It's not the manager who did it. It was one of the regular employees.
Right.
And he's a really nice kid. So I didn't want to be like, "Oh, thanks." No.
Yeah.
So I took it.
I did not have a choice. If I wanted to buy my books from my shop, I had to get the Harley Quinn cover.
Ooh. Sorry, man.
I know.
Because a lot of them are, some of them are really good.
The ones I got were not so great.
Yeah.
Mainly just because I don't really like the new 52 Harley. Like this depiction of Harley. I don't like it.
I'm not the biggest fan of it either.
To be fair, this isn't even like the new 52 Harley. This is the Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I had to get the Harley Quinn covers or go to a different shop and buy my comics that week.
And you can't do that. That's a betrayal.
The other thing they're doing that I think is interesting is for the Convergence titles, they are only ordering those for the people that pre-ordered them.
Say what?
So
no shelf copies of Convergence at all?
That's what I was told.
Not even like 1 or 2 for people who are curious about different titles?
I would think they're probably going to do like 1 or 2, but they're not going to order a normal quantity of each book.
Because what if, I get that, but what if like because I did this yesterday. I went through previews and I went through my Convergence titles. I want this, 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 and this. But what if someone's like, "Man, Hawkman was surprisingly good. You should really check it out." And they don't order shelf copies.
Right.
Then what? They're screwing themselves out of sales. Yeah. On the flip side, DC occasionally will do promotions where order all these like special, like Forever Evil, the lenticular covers.
Yeah.
What you don't sell, you can send back.
Buy back, yeah.
But Convergence, they are not doing that.
Nope. I think they're doing that with I think Marvel's doing it with Secret Wars, if I remember right. But so that means all of my Convergence is going to be done digitally. Because I'm not pre-ordering that.
Well, there's some you have to pre-order. There's none you're curious about?
There's none that I'm curious about enough to pre-order. I don't do pre-orders. I do my box and that's it.
So what about Green Lantern and Parallax?
It'll be digital.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious coming out of Convergence if I might just do all my DC titles digital from then on out.
You know my feelings on it. You're paying money for something you don't own. You're paying the same amount for something you won't actually own.
You're paying the same amount for something that is a digital copy, yes, with no ads.
Not that you will. It's not that it's the no ads. It's not that it's digital. It's if Comixology ever closes its doors, you do not own that. It goes away. You are leasing the comic book.
I'm all right with it.
I know you are.
Okay.
What's on your pull list, buddy?
So, I did not go into my shopping this week. I will probably go tomorrow to pick up my hard copies. There wasn't anything that I saw that came out today that was screaming, you have to read this today.
Not even Spider-Gwen. I can't say it with a straight face. Can't do it. Carry on, buddy. Go ahead.
Okay, so I picked up 5 digitals. I picked up Batman Eternal, Rasputin in a Evil Empire. I also picked up Graveyard Shift number 3, which if you've listened to my Shot of Culture from this past weekend, I reviewed what had happened so far in the first 2 issues. So I picked up issue 3, which came out today, and then I picked up Curb Stomp number 1. So it seemed interesting.
And was it?
It wasn't. No, it was interesting. Yes.
Okay.
The unfortunate thing, I don't know if you're familiar with writer Brian Wood.
Yes, I'm familiar with Brian Wood.
Yeah.
He did some Ultimates and Star Wars stuff.
And he did the all-female X-Men.
He did the first
couple issues of that, yeah.
The first 2 trades almost.
Yeah. I have read, he did Local, which is the book he did that I really enjoyed. He's done a couple other original things. So I was like, I follow him on Twitter.
Okay.
So he posted a thing on Twitter today saying he was really interested in this book, but he wished they could come up with a different title that didn't have so much negative historical content.
For Curb Stomp?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're familiar with curb stomping, what it is.
Yeah, I've seen American History X.
Yeah. So there was an article that was published a couple months ago when this title was first announced in previews saying that I don't care what the content of your book is, come up with something that doesn't have such racial historical meaning to it. They cited the scene in American History X. They cited the fact that curb stomping was something that the Nazis used as a tactic against the Jews in World War II to save on ammo. Like, that's where it originated from.
I don't know if that's where it originated from. I feel like back in Neanderthalic days, somebody had the idea of stone mouth crunch.
Well, sure,
you know what I mean?
but they didn't call it curb stomping. It wasn't
they called it
right, yeah. So that book's out there. I kind of agree. I wish it had a different title. I think the title is shock value. The action plays a role in the first issue.
Okay.
But I think they could have named it something else and been just fine.
Okay, I get what you're saying on that.
All right, so what... Oh, you had something to say?
No, I was going to say, is that what you're going to review?
I don't know yet.
Okay, then let me do
I will let you do Spider-Gwen.
Well, kids, here it is. Spider-Gwen, written by Jason Latour. So for those of you who are not familiar with Spider-Gwen, I'm sure you've heard me mention it before, but it's your first episode. I'll recant. As you know, I got sucked into Spider-Verse every issue.
And I called you out on it every week.
Yes, you did. Every issue, even like Spider-Woman, which is a book I don't get, Spider-Man 2099, any Spider-Verse tie-in, I got. I have finished Spider-Verse. I was happy with, strangely enough, I was happy with the Spider-Verse stories that took place like in Spider-Man and Spider-Woman and Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099. The side stories, like Spider-Verse 1 and 2, team up with the Spider-Verse, like all the side ancillary stories, hit or miss.
Okay.
The main story I was pretty pleased with. Out of that was this fan favorite, Spider-Gwen. And she just, after her just first appearance, just broke out huge. Like, everybody loved her. People were making those hoodies that you saw.
Right.
Which, by the way, Wave 6 is out right now, if you're interested in. It's called Coyote Pop.
Did the other wave close again?
Other wave is closed.
Okay.
The new wave is a bunch of spider stuff. So if you're interested, look up Coyote Pop hoodies. You'll get them right away. Their Etsy store. They have a lot of sick hoodies. Check them out. Anyways, so Spider-Gwen, in this universe, Gwen Stacy was one bitten by the spider, and she became Spider-Woman. And Peter Parker wanted to be just like her. He wanted to be a hero. He became the Lizard, turned evil, ended up dying.
Okay.
So in this, her dad is still alive, and he's still the captain of the police force. His best soldier, or officer, I should say, is Ben Grimm.
Okay.
He gets replaced at the end of the episode with a very hard, strict new captain after Captain Stacy's been helping Spider-Gwen, Captain Frank Castle.
Oh, jeez.
And look at your first introduction is because he is physically beating someone for an interrogation.
Yep, that sounds like him.
Matt Murdock is the attorney for the Kingpin.
Okay.
MJ is in this, but it's also the name of the band Spider-Gwen plays the drums for, the Mary Janes. So it is everything you know from the Spider-Verse taken and put into different contexts. In her first issue, she goes up against the Vulture. The story was well written. It was actually a lot of fun.
Okay. Who wrote it?
Jason Latour.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I won't lie to you. I picked it up because I was in the middle of playing a Pathfinder campaign. The guy goes, "Hey, do you want Spider-Gwen?" I went, "No, I don't." I went to go buy my books, and it was in there. He goes, like, "Just give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen?" All right. So I gave it a
The
shot.
first one is good. Don't worry about it.
I was expecting not to like it because
Okay.
I didn't like all the side stories to Spider-Verse. I thought I didn't like them. Since she was a side story in Spider-Verse, I didn't think I would like it. I do like it. It was
Okay.
a lot of fun. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Secret Wars. Is this going to come into our universe, first of all? So I'm hesitant there. Secondly, at what point it's kind of like the Ultimate Universe. Here's all these characters you know in a different light. We're doing that again with Spider-Gwen. Like, here's everybody you know right away, and here's how they're completely different. And I'm fine with that. I don't care. I just don't want them to try too much at fast
Right.
at first. Overall, though, I actually had a fun reading it, and I'm looking forward to issue 2, despite me thinking I wouldn't be.
Okay. Are you going to get yourself a Spider-Gwen hoodie?
Yeah, I'm a straight man in his 30s, so probably 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Right.
case one gets dirty.
Of
I'm a
course,
straight
yeah.
man in my 30s. I spill food a lot.
Yeah, it happens.
I got to have a second one
Yeah.
just in case.
You're probably going to end up with, like, hurricanes all over you.
You know what's the saddest part about those hoodies? Like, I'm all like, I'm going to buy this Scarlet Spider one. Ooh, 100% polyester? Now I'm out. That is the $70 for the hoodie. That's not what deterred me.
No.
Ooh, 100% polyester.
It's great. Just spend $100 on that leather Batman motorcycle.
Oh, that was so cool!
Right?
Yes.
They got some cool stuff on there, too.
We'll put that up on our Facebook or our Twitter or something
Or both.
that we have to get better about doing.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, well, we're going to get real good at the Twitters on Saturday.
I see Curb Stomp number 1 up on your screen, buddy.
I'm going to go for it.
All
Okay.
right, so who published it?
So this is done by Boom Studios.
You love Boom.
I read a couple things by Boom. I read more by Image.
I know you do, but you
But,
still love the Boom
I do.
guys.
Evil Empire is Boom.
No, you love the Boom guys. We've had a lot of fun with the Boom guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually was just tweeting with Irene from Boom
See?
yesterday. I do some of the tweets. It's okay. So Curb Stomp, written by Ryan Ferrier, I don't know. Art by Devaki Niyogi. And
Hold on, I'm confused. I thought Brian Wood wrote it. Isn't that why you were asking about?
no. He tweeted about it.
Oh.
He was saying he's interested in it, but wishes it had a better name.
Got it. Sorry, I
Yeah,
missed that
sorry.
part. I was too busy looking at those chili chips over there.
Yeah, no, they're going to be delicious here in
Oh,
a few
so
minutes when
good.
we're done. So here's the premise of this one. It takes place in the near future, not too distant future, but near future. I'm not completely clear on what city it takes place in. I think it's Los Angeles.
Okay.
But society in Los Angeles has evolved to where there's the city part, which is where all the rich people live, and then there's 3 outlying boroughs where all the more poor people live.
So the way Los Angeles is right now.
Well, yeah, okay.
Okay.
But it's not, you don't have like, anyways. So there's Old Beach, Bayside, and one other one. I don't remember what the other
Okay.
one is. But so the first third of the issue, you're kind of just introduced to these 5 or 6 ladies who are all part of a gang that resides in Old Beach called the Fever.
Okay.
So you learn a little bit about them. They all have weird names like Machete Betty and Violet Volt and Derby Girl and Daisy Chain.
I thought so they're all derby names.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Bloody Mary. They call themselves the Fever, and they're the protectors of Old Beach. Throughout the issue, you are introduced to some other characters that are part of gangs from other neighborhoods.
Okay.
And you find out that there's kind of an understanding where if another gang comes into your turf, you are allowed to punch them, hit them, whatever. You can draw a knife on them. But there's explicit rules that or agreement that you do not use guns.
Okay.
So some sort of honor system there. I don't know.
Honor among thieves.
So there's a night where one of the girls is out. Machete Betty is out on patrol, make sure nothing's going down. She sees some guys from a rival gang in their turf. So she's chasing whatever. A couple of guys run off, but one guy stays behind. You find out he's new from this other gang. He pulls a gun on her. And he's like, well, shit, that's against the rules. Like, in her head, she's like, he's not supposed to do that.
Right.
He goes to shoot her. The gun misfires.
Yep.
Or whatever. Doesn't go off. So she hits him, whatever, stabs him, puts his face on a curb and curb stomps him.
Oh.
Hence the name of the book.
Curb stomp.
Okay. She freaks out after she does this. She's like, I think I may have killed him.
Yeah.
She runs back to her gang. She's like, you guys need to come. I think I may have done something bad. When they get back, the guy's gone. Turns out he'd gotten back to his gang headquarters. Yeah. He'd gotten back to his gang headquarters. And then it changes scenes to downtown. You find out that one of the rich people is trying to figure out how to increase the drug and gun trade in the city.
Okay.
So he's working with the head of one of these other gangs, and they're trying to figure out how to get it all together or whatever. The only outlier is the Fevers. They're like, we'll never get the Fevers to go along with this. They care too much about their part of town and protecting people to let this happen. So you find out is this guy that got curb stomped, when he gets back to his headquarters, his boss, who's in the meeting with the rich guy, shoots the guy that got curb stomped and blames the murder on the Fevers, saying, you didn't beat our guy up, you killed our guy, now we're going to kill you.
Interesting that the colors change depending on what group is.
Yeah, the coloring in the book's really interesting. I kind of like it. At other times it's kind of weird, but towards the end of the book, one of the other gangs comes and kidnaps one of the Fevers, and then at the end of the book, it's the Fevers saying, we're going to get back at them, even if we have to kill every single one of those motherfuckers.
There you go.
So, a lot of stuff in the first book. You ought to get introduced to a lot of people. You got to kind of get the understanding of what's happening, how society's set up. But interesting for a first issue. Like I said, I probably would have changed the name of it. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a need for it to be named Curb Stomp.
Maybe I'm just an insensitive asshole. Let me rephrase that. I know I'm an insensitive asshole, right? I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, what's in a name?
I think my issue with it is I think they named it that for shock value. And if you need shock value to sell your book, maybe you need to have a better marketing campaign.
And maybe that's where I'm coming from. That title does not shock me whatsoever. To me, that is just another phrase.
Okay.
Like, I know this sounds bad, like the phrase jerry-rig is insensitive towards Germans.
Right.
But
or when you get ripped off, you've been gypped. Well, that's talking about gypsies.
Right.
Yes.
But all that kind of stuff, I guess I take it too much for the actual context and not where it came from. Because for me, it doesn't hold that bearing. So curb stomp's the same way. I'm like, meh, it's just a phrase.
I think the other issue I have with it is you named it after an event that happens in this first issue, which, maybe has some repercussions. But if you intend your book to go on for 2, 3, 4 years, at issue 48, is a curb stomp that happened in the first issue still going to be the most relevant thing in your book?
It's a very good point.
You could have called it the Fevers, since it's about the group of people.
You could have called it the Fever.
I don't know.
We'll see what happens with it, though.
So,
you in for issue 2, though?
Yeah, I'll pick up issue 2, see how it goes.
All right.
You got anything else?
No, I want those chips. Give them here. Bye, guys. See you next week.